Hi guys, my name is Daryl, and today I want to talk about, changing up the exercise. When do you change it up? If you do change it up, and is it important to change it up? And it's entirely up to you. I think that with training over the years, I've been training, 40 years. You have to create new ideas and new ways to train, because to keep the excitement and the enthusiasm of training, it requires a lot of, some excitement, and some stimulation that you want to change and make the muscles respond in a different way. But if you just stuck doing the same old thing, it gets really boring, and you won't stick with it. I think that there's experts out there, and you'll see 10,000 programs on YouTube, and all the gurus and all the experts out there. They'll tell you to just do the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and that's great. But for me, I get extremely bored. I think I have exercise ADD. I don't know. I have to change it up frequently. And it's something I learned with Vince was, so every month he would change my program. And technically what you would end up doing with his programs, he would always say do them for 3 weeks, 21 days. And then you would take 7 days off, and then you continue on with the next program. And that's a great way of doing it. And it keeps the muscles, it keeps them stimulated, plus it helps you with the recovery and everything. But for me, it's hard for me to take time off from training. I know I should. I probably overtrain way too much. But I would take the 7 days off, but I would always feel like I was ready after about 3 days. And so for me, my recovery and my excitement for training, I'd only use about 3 days off. And so I didn't really have to take the 7 days off. Some people might need that 7 days off, but even Vince said, if you don't need to take 7 days off, then don't take 7 days off. Just, as long as you feel refreshed and your muscles are, not being to the point where, you're losing size or whatever, then you can continue on with the next program. And so that got me thinking about, with the exercises, so Vince would always change it up for me. So for example, I love doing the Girona dip, and at the first of the month, I'd be all enthusiastic and really just crank it out and get the unbelievable blood pump that you get. But toward the end of the month, I would notice that even though I didn't change anything, I would follow the same sets and reps scheme, and I just noticed that I just wasn't getting that pump. And then Vince would send me a new program, and it would have a whole different set of exercises, and I was excited because I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so then it created that enthusiasm in me again. And so then when I'd go to the gym, and say if I would do a triple compound, or if I did the 1.5 rep scheme, or double compound, or supersets, or whatever it was, it automatically gave me that pump and that stimulation that I was looking for. But then by the third week, I would notice that it would kind of taper down, and I would go stale again. And Larry Scott would talk about that all the time too, about going stale with the exercise. He would do exercises only for 2 weeks. And toward the end, when I would talk to him about how he would change the exercises and when he would change it. And toward the end of his career, he would change the exercise every week. He said that he started getting bored very frequently and needed to change it. And so he would almost do a different system every week. And so then I got to thinking about the way I train. And so for me, it's about every 2 weeks that I get bored. And I find it's more realistic, because then you can have little micro goals. So you have your 2 week period, and then you can kind of increase the weight. So if you start doing a neck press the first week, you're doing say 150 pounds. And then the second week, you can go up 5 to 10 pounds. So you're doing that progressive overload through the workout every couple of weeks. Whereas if you're just doing the same exercise over and over and over, then what's going to happen is you're going to hit a point where you're never going to be able to increase the weight. There's going to be that breaking point. So if you're working your way up, and after once you get to 315 on the bench press, that might be it forever. You might never get to 320, and so, or whatever. But the idea is that with these changing every couple of weeks, You're always working on sort of micro goals to help, you know, create that excitement and that enthusiasm to train. And that's why I love doing these exercises. When I got on with Vince, you know, he changed the entire way I would think about exercise and training. And by doing all these little things that he would throw at you, you know, sometimes you'd be doing a 6x6 and you're like totally exhausted and beat down, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. And then he'll come back at, you know, then the next month might be a 4x12 or even the 2x10s, and the, you know, and in some cases it's just the 1x6. You know, so you would do all these different types of schemes, and it was constantly changing and creating the stimulation that you needed to keep growing. And that's one thing that Vince would always talk about. We'd talk about the nervous system, talk about the stimulation, and how if you overstimulate the motor units of the muscle, that, you know, you're gonna cause the muscles to shrink and so on. So he had the right amount of intensity per workout, and that's what I really loved about following his programs, because I never overtrained with Vince's stuff. You know, I might overtrain in terms of, you know, maybe working out too many days in a row, you know, where I know that I should take days off. But sometimes I'm so excited, and, you know, with the Vince's Gym experience at my house, it's just, you know, I always come down here and just mess around. And so before I know it, I've been training for like 30 minutes and realizing that, shoot, I just trained hard yesterday, and now I'm doing it again today. And so that's my downfall, is that I end up overtraining in that regard. But in terms of the intensity of the workouts and things, I never overtrain. I've always been following Vince's stuff, and I always follow the same set and rep system that he always prescribed. So I'll go back to all the programs that he wrote for me and just keep recycling it. Sometimes I'll pick and choose the ones that are my favorite, but I always change it up every 2 weeks. I'm changing it now, and it really works well for me. And so that's what you got to decide to do is, you know, you got to keep it fresh. You know, there's so many different techniques out there, and there's so many different machines, so many different styles, and that's the thing that's so fun about bodybuilding, is that we can play around with all these different, you know, systems. And I know sometimes when I go on vacation or whatever, I'll go visit gyms in the area, and I noticed that, like, there's gyms that have, like, they'll have 10 chest exercises, you know, 10 back exercise machines or whatever. And, you know, some days I just want to just play around, and so I'll go in there and just, you know, test them all and try them all out, you know, rather than just go to the neck press, you know, because I can do that at home. I like to go different places and get different stimulation by just using different machines, and sometimes that's a way of changing things up as well. So the point is that, you know, with bodybuilding or even fitness, to stay in the game for this long, or if you're just starting and you want to be able to do this for the rest of your life or whatever, you have to change things up. You know, I find that by making, you know, changes frequently, it's just going to keep the excitement and the enthusiasm of your training, and you're going to get great stimulation. And that's what it's all about. It's trying to create things that make it fun. You know, if you're just doing deadlifts, squat, and bench press, I mean, if I had to just do that for the last 40 years, there's no way I'd be doing this. You know, I like to do stuff where I can constantly change and create different styles, and I'll invent things. I'll think of new ways to stimulate the muscle, and that's what you have to do. You have to keep this stuff exciting, and to keep it fun, just keep changing it up. So that's my lecture for today, is that, you know, change things up, have some fun. Don't be afraid to try different things. I mean, if you want to use a machine, use a machine, you know, and try to make that machine work the best for you. You know, if you want to use just free weights, use free weights. You know, it's really up to you. There is no one way of just training. You know, you can do anything you want. You know, you can go lift rocks if you want. If it gives you stimulation and it makes you want to keep training, then go for it. You know, I think that so many people will get slammed on the YouTube or whatever, and they'll say, you know, if the guy's using a machine, they'll rip them apart, saying, you know, this is a stupid machine. It's never going to do anything, and, you know, you should be only using dumbbells. But, you know, I just say use everything. Use everything at your disposal to create the body you're looking for, because, you know, I know machines work for me, and I know free weights work for me, so I use both. You know, and I sometimes I'll do something totally off the wall, and it works really well. So you got to change things up and make it fun for yourself. And guys, I want to thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.